And welcome to the Walking Dead support group. Once again, we are back live here from the HCAM studios in Holbrook, Massachusetts, broadcasting to you between here and on YouTube. My name is Alex Mann. I'm the center host. Tonight, to my right, I have my regular co-host, Keith O'Brien. Tonight, Jason is on location, so we have filled in. We've spared no expense. We brought in Cynthia Rogers all the way from New Jersey. Cynthia, say hi to everybody and welcome aboard.
Hi.
As we always do, as you're familiar with our show, we like to get into the kill count first. So, Keith, what is your total kill count? Because we know people want to argue with you about that.
Nobody ever argues. Started out slow, and then we finished with 17. Started out slow. We only had 2 sessions of killings there, 3 in the beginning, and then I got 14 on the clicker at the truck there. So, 17.
Excellent. And just to say hello to some of our newer followers on Facebook, we have Sarah Morris Mondu, Karen George, Julie Laughlin, DeAndre King, Captain Marvelous, Michael Neal, Chris Massey, James King, Tammy Harrington, and Luke. I think we got him last week. And on our new Twitter followers, we got a bunch new tonight. Patty, we're not going to go through the whole thing. Cary, Minnesota, we have some kind of squiggly thing with a heart. We're going to go with Norma Michelle, because I ain't figuring that one out. Me, the real Jill. Me. Jazz, hello Jazz, private citizen of the Gangland Twitter. Zombie Zone, Asher, Stephanie Walshalshetty, Amy Zataroff, and the Governess. And her profile actually has the eye patch, so congratulations, I like the accessories. Okay, let's get right into tonight's episode. It was called Claimed. They were arrival of 3 new survivors, stir up conflict between the scattered groups. And what we saw tonight was we saw Abraham and his small crew. We're going to really get into them and have some fun with those guys. But we had the mystery crew that were out where Rick was, waiting for the return of Michonne and Carl. We didn't really get to see much of them unless they were going to kill one of their own. So obviously they really don't mind too much kind of putting one down. We heard them kill one of them downstairs. And you know the 2 that were fighting upstairs, the one who got dropped, somehow looks like a Crip almost with his bandana. So we got a lot going on tonight, Cynthia. Since you're new with us, why don't you give us your take on tonight's episode? What did you think? Give us a quick overview.
I think it was really good, and in pulling now, everybody pulling back together, and we're going to see them start getting back together. I just think that this is the roads where everybody is going.
Okay. Keith, what did you think of tonight's episode?
I thought it was good. It was slow going. I was getting ready to call it a filler because that's my favorite thing, my least favorite thing actually. But I thought it was good. I agree. As we see at the end, with the groups getting back together, we see Rick, Michonne, and Carl on the tracks. So it seems like everybody's on the tracks except Abraham, his group, and Glenn and Tara. So it seems everybody's going to be heading in the same direction.
For me, there were a couple people on our Facebook page, which I kind of agreed with. I thought it was very slow. There was certainly a little bit more story dialogue going on. We learned a lot more about Michonne and her relationship with Carl. That was kind of fun to see, but for me, this one was just kind of slow. To me, it was a filler episode. I have to admit, Cynthia, I've seen with interacting with you here, I'm surprised you actually like this one. This one seemed kind of slow, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's strictly because Kuditz was in a tank top.
And we got to see Rick with no shirt on.
So, by the way, predominantly it's always male hosts up here. So thank you, Cynthia, for coming in.
What do you mean? We got Jason.
But the reality is most of our followers are female, so it's good to have you here, and I'm sure the ladies will be very interested to hear all your comments afterward as we go along. This one was claimed, and the first one that comes to my mind is that the bed was claimed. Does the title do anything for you on this one, or is it just kind of that one moment, Keith?
Well, I mean, last night I said I hope that they're going to claim something and make it their own, like they claimed the prison. So we got Rick and Michonne in the house, and along the lines of Rick claimed the bed first, and then the crib claimed the bed, and then he got beat up, and the other guy claimed the bed. So my thought was last week that they were going to claim something, And I guess I was a little off because obviously Rick and them abandoned the house because they can't go back to that.
Right.
So, I go along with the lines like that. I mean, I don't think anybody else was claiming anything. I mean, Jason tamed on it. I mean, Abraham was claiming Glenn and Tara. I just put them in the truck and they drove for like 3 hours.
Right.
So they got claimed. You're part of my group and we got a mission.
Right. Until Eugene shot up the truck. What about you, Cynthia? What do you think of the title's claim? Did it really work for you, or was it just that one moment in that?
I think it's the opposite. It's just saying that you can't claim anything during this time period. You can't have anything. There's always going to be somebody there to take it away.
So claimed with a question mark then. Okay, I like that idea. One of the things that we always do is we talk about our favorite kill. So, Cynthia, did you have a favorite kill tonight?
No.
Nothing?
No.
No? Keith?
I think they were just regular kills.
Just regular kills?
Yeah.
I went with the gas tank.
Which one? When he
killed the gas tank.
Oh, when he
killed
killed
the
the
truck.
gas tank.
I mean, first I wrote gas tank because he shot up the gas tank.
So
We see
kill of the night goes to Eugene?
It goes to Eugene, and then Abraham was saying, "I can't believe you killed the truck." So my favorite kill was the gas tank and the truck.
For me, my favorite kill, and I'm surprised neither one of you are going to jump on this, is when Abraham ran through the walker's head and stuck it to the truck. Now, again, this goes back to earlier things. It seems to be real easy to kind of treat them like Swiss cheese unless they're body armor. And then all of a sudden they stop stuff. So, I mean, he pegged that one right to the truck and then smashed it. I thought that was a great...
It was a good kill.
I mean, that's one of the things I love about the show is that, every time you think you've seen every possible way of killing a zombie, these things always seem to kind of go.
Well, that kind of goes right up with Maggie smashing the head against the bus last week.
That was epic.
I'm
sorry, that was like a Joan of Arc.
Yeah,
moment.
it's
That
kind of the
was
same
fantastic.
thing. Along those lines, I did like it because he stuck it and it was still bleeding. And it was still moving.
Right.
And he, motioned to Tara, pass me the gun, passes the M4, and he crashes the head, just like she did at the end of last week's episode. So, it was a good kill, but I'm sticking with the gas tank.
The other thing we like to do is talk about our favorite line of the night. Cynthia, I'll throw that one to you. Did you have a favorite line of the night? And remember, we can't exactly say what we all want to say, I think.
No, we cannot.
We can, but we're going to defer. So, favorite line of the night?
Son of a beep.
I mean, it was up there. It was epic.
Right.
That
was the best part. So, are you on the same boat?
I did like in the beginning when Michonne said, "You were unconscious yesterday." Well, I'm awake today. It's like, I don't know. It's just that was kind of a weird, give and take. I did like the whole part of the episode, although it had nothing to do with the title. I did like the whole Rick, Michonne, Carl interaction part of the show. I thought it was pretty good.
They're the closest to what
Yeah.
I think is almost like a zombie apocalypse family unit.
Right.
And I have to admit, I'm very partial to Michonne's character. I think she totally kicks ass, and I love watching her kind of go. And me personally, there's been discussion on some of the side groups, side topics, is I really kind of see her as a strong potential of a leader within, if they ever create a new kind of parliamentary procedure for themselves. But for me, I'm also going with the son of a Richard, is what I'm going to say.
Son of Richard.
Son of Richard.
That
just drove people were like, did he just? Yes, he did. That was fantastic. Favorite moments of the night. And this is we're just kind of let it kind of go. So start saying whatever you thought the best moment of the night was.
I really do like the Michonne Carl interaction tonight. It kind of touched back from when, she was, it goes right on what I said, that you said you were unconscious yesterday because he wanted to go out with him. He goes, you were unconscious yesterday. Well, I'm awake today. And she goes, no, I'm taking Carl. So Carl and Michonne go out looking for stuff, kind of like when they went back to Rick's hometown, and they're interacting. It's like, we're going to clear. We clear a room.
And they're still using that.
They're still using that term, which is great because they're clearing rooms. So it's like, clear a room, I'll answer a question. And then it was kind of like you said, like that family kind of monotone thing.
Family sticks together.
Families stick together, and it's like they were clearing the house, and he wanted to answer questions. She goes, "You're forgetting the rules." And he goes, and Carl's like, he's like more of a kid in this episode. I mean, he mentions his sister, he mentions Judith, and he was like,
that was a tough moment.
He starts crying. But then it's like, well, technically this is one room, and technically that's another room. So now he wants 2 questions answered. No, go do your homework.
What do you think, Cynthia? What was your favorite moment of the night?
I know, I agree. The interaction that Michonne had with Carl and Rick, and just, getting back to the basics, just remembering, that he's still a kid, that he's not an adult.
Yeah, there was that moment where Rick said it was good to hear him laugh, and I can't be his father and his best friend. That was kind of a key thing. Is he was saying, he does need somebody that he can kind of have that with. I still need to be his father, and that's. I mean, what is that thought process? How do you be a father during this apocalypse? It throws out everything you would ever think of being as a dad. Morality is kind of gone now. I mean, Rick kills that guy in the bathroom. Which was, that was a great kill. How did we didn't even touch on that one. That was a good kill.
But it's part of the survival.
Right. But it's one of those things that, who do you kill, who you do not kill, And Rick Rick can kill indiscriminately anyone he wants. But when you're under Rick's authority, you can't kill anybody you want. Look at Carol. But for me, my favorite moment of the night, and there were two. The first one was the interaction between Eugene and Abraham, where he says, "Trust me, I'm smarter than you." I'm sorry, man.
So.
Everybody rocking a mullet. He looked like Billy Ray Cyrus. I'm sorry. That's all I could think of was the achy breaky heart and Rosita and her Daisy Dukes. I was like, we are in the South, and all we need now is an Orange Crush and a Charger to come barreling through Dukes of Hazzard style. It was just brutal to me.
She's really just rocking the Lara Croft outfit, is what it is.
I give you that.
Not Daisy Dukes, but
I think it's.
I know it's Georgia.
And I said it in there, and I kind of almost really do mean it. It's they're giving people that eye candy. I mean, we know the women have Rick, they have Daryl, and obviously, Cynthia brought that right out. Rick was shirtless tonight. We haven't had a female character stripped down a lot since Andrea. So, now I got Rosita, so I guess I can go with that. And ay, Dios mío, mamacita, es muy bonita.
Did somebody hit the SAP button?
Yes. Yes. Very good. Very good. And then my other favorite moment of the night, and I'm surprised you guys have kind of loosely touched on it, but didn't say it. The spray cheese, where Michonne was pretending to be the walker with the cheese coming out of her mouth. I thought that was great. My 3-year-old thought I was funny. I mean, I thought that was fun. Okay. Next week's episode is going to be called Still, and it's an enlightening mission springs from a request from one of the group's members. So that's what they're kind of giving us. The coming attraction for next week really didn't give us that. So between that description for next week's episode of the plot synopsis and what we saw for the next week's episode, what do you think is going to happen, Son? Where do you think we're going?
I don't know. I just don't know anymore. You think you're going one way and then you're going another.
Who do you want to see in next week's episode more of? And we know you want Daryl, and we know you want to see more of Rick and more of Cuttits. But what storyline? What do you want to see more of?
I want to see more of Carol and Tyrese, the interaction that's going on there, where they're going, and I would like to see if Glenn can find Maggie.
Okay, Keith, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking two things. One, still is they're all. Hopefully, this is the episode they all get back together and they're all still alive and they're all still together, or it's still going to be searching for everybody. It's going to be a filler, and I won't be here next week.
As we do with our Twitter feed, Vinny DiGiacomo said,
That's a killer line right there.
That is a good one.
Good job,
Vinny's got
Vinny.
a great line. The guy claimed the toilet. So there was another claim.
That's pretty good.
And you know what? And I didn't notice this, but I think you both did. He was the seat was down and his pants were up. What was he doing? Just sitting on the toilet. We all know. I think we can say on a family show that that's not how you use that. So
I didn't notice that. It must have just been you.
Oh, sure. Now it's all my
It all comes out.
For me next week, what I really want to see is I want to see a little bit faster pace. I think that they've given
very
us
slow, yeah.
They've given us enough of these the subplots. And granted, I like the stretching out of the governor's storyline, but I think at this point what we need is a little bit of Tyrese and Carol and Lizzie Borden there. What we really need is a little bit more of all these mini stories to start speeding up. They're following the trail, the train line. let's make this into the speed of a train out of control a little bit. Let's start getting things going. Let's get that tension back up. The walkers coming out of that Field of Dreams, that was way too slow for me.
Yeah, they could have been.
You know, every other time we've seen walkers in the last part of this season, speed. They've moved a lot faster. Eugene had time to not figure out how to rack that weapon and then got it ready, shoot the truck, and then started shooting them. I want to see a little bit more faster pace. I definitely want to see more of the interaction between Carol and Tyrese. And I'd really like to see Lizzie's babysitting services privileges nixed. Because that was really troublesome for me to see on TV.
I watched it again, like when we left here last week, and I got home, and as I come home, the TV's still on, and it's on AMC. So I come in, and it's at that moment she's got the hand over her mouth, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. I got to watch this again. And it is, I don't know. I'm glad they didn't go that route. But they were really close to, like, this is the moment. Because they teased us that she's dead, she's alive, and then she could be dead again, or she's not going to survive. And like, oh, Lizzie's going to kill her.
Right,
you know?
and I'm fairly certain, and you and I have had this conversation, isn't she the representative of the boys that kind of are a little bit crazy in the comic book?
Yeah, there's I believe it was twin boys in the comics. So,
Right.
And I believe the sisters replace the boys in the show.
So that's going to be an interesting kind of thing. And there was a great thing, and this is one of the pet peeves a lot of fans have is they say if this one dies we riot, if that one dies we riot, or I'll stop watching if this one dies.
Says that.
Somebody put up a great thing, and they were hating a lot of the characters, and somebody said, listen, this person was the governor, this person was Shane, this person is playing Lizzie. You hate the character, not the actor, and that's that. We've seen a lot of that in the social media feeds. Not in our group. The guys and girls who are in this group, you're all fantastic. It's always a great conversations there with all of you. But that was one of those things where the memes that surround The Walking Dead are absolutely fantastic. So one of the other things, and one of the reasons why we always wanted to get Cynthia in, is for anyone who's gone to any of the kind of the conventions and stuff like that, if you're in our Facebook page or if you're on our Twitter feed, you would know her as probably the most prolific member that we have, who goes to the cons, who meets the actors, who makes connections, actually even thinking about trying to organize a convention herself. So it was for us, having participated in a convention, and I wish Jason was here for this, he's out on location. But the reality is, we had a ton of fun just going to one, and we were nowhere near as involved as what you do. So I'd really kind of like to pick your brain a little bit, get some other people interested in going to these conventions, because you've got some fantastic stories. You've met some almost the entire cast, dead or alive or still alive. Give us some of your impressions of some of the experiences. Now, granted, it does cost a lot, so also share that with some of these people.
Yeah, going to the conventions is not really cheap. I mean, a lot of the times you can just walk around and you'll see the cast members walking around and they'll say hi and everything else, but it is really a great experience to meet them. And, to have them all in one place, someplace like Walker Stalker Con, in Atlanta, it was great. There was just so many people there. I had started going to conventions in June. I went to Wizard World, New York City. I met Michael Rooker and Norman Reedus there, and I did go on the booze cruise that they had afterward. And it was just a ton of fun. They were just great with the fans that were on the cruise. Just so many wonderful people, including the people that work for them. Their managers, their promoters, they are just wonderful people too.
So give us a couple of the names of some of the characters that and for some of the less enthusiastic fans, give the actor's name and the character they played so everyone understands it.
Who I've met?
Yeah, why not? Well, you don't have to go everybody because
No,
you pretty much
okay.
got the whole cast. But some of your top 5.
Okay, my top 5 so far would be Andrew Lincoln, Michael Rooker, Norman Reedus, Melissa Ponzio, who played Karen, and Vincent Ward.
Who was?
Oscar.
All right, so Andrew is Rick. You said Norman Reedus is Daryl.
Yep, Michael Rooker was Merle.
And Merle. And Merle is still one of my all-time favorite characters of that show. And it cracks me up when I see him in another movie or another show, and I'm like, "Hey, that's Merle." You know, he's now permanently Merle, and I keep waiting to hear him say, "Hello, sugar," and I just go, those are the things I'm kind of dying to see. So at these conventions now, Keith, you and I both went, and you guys stood in line with me waiting to meet the woman who played Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was $40, and it was a quick in and out.
Yep.
Not all the people are like this. You've had some pretty good experiences. You actually have a lot of time with the gentleman who played Herschel.
Yes,
he
Scott
definitely
Wilson.
has a thing for you.
Yes, we were outside with him for 2 hours. We were downstairs at the hotel in Atlanta. We were outside with him for about 2 hours. And I was with him the weekend before that at a different convention in the lobby having drinks for another hour.
Fantastic.
So.
Now, is there a good way to kind of? Some people actually try and volunteer their time with the cons and stuff. The Walker Stalker in Atlanta, that's definitely the one to kind of go to if you're going to try and go to one of these cons.
Yes.
Because that seems to draw the most.
The most of the cast members because it's right there for filming.
Excellent. All right. Well, Keith, any convention questions for you?
I don't have any convention. I thought it was interesting. Just to touch on it, I thought it was interesting. It was definitely a little overwhelming. It's the first one I ever went to, and that was just Boston Comic Con. So it wasn't a lot of Walking Dead, except that we saw. So it was just I could see where you're saying that it gets expensive because like you get if we were there to do all those autographs, there was 4 people there. It would have been it's $160.
Right.
But I mean I've gone to sports shows and I know that it can get there. Seems a little tedious.
Well, what actually
But it is what it is.
Yeah, what actually ends up killing you is if you do the photo ops. The photo ops were, and I know you liked my Lincoln and Norman one and compared them to Twix, a left and right Twix. Let me tell you, they are not Twix bars. They're more like Reese's peanut butter cups.
That was great.
I knew she was waiting to say that, by the way. There was a setup right there. Okay, so we're getting kind of close to wrapping things up. Keith, any other things from tonight's episode that we didn't touch on yet?
I did have a couple of things. When Michonne was walking around the house, which seems like it must have been some old lady painting or the family was painting, there was a portrait and there were 2 rabbits on the wall. So, and we know Lizzie killed 2 rabbits on the last show. It's kind of weird. So I just picked up on that.
And that's
I have no idea where that goes with that. But I'm like, last week we were when we were talking here, and we had Mr. Hayward here, and they focused in on the dead rabbits. We didn't know they were dead rabbits, and then they flash forward, and Lizzie's got her knife and she's going to kill the rabbits, so she killed rabbits. Then we get 2 rabbits on tonight's painting. We had the painting that Michonne unwrapped, and it was like a painting of a zombie, which was kind of creepy. And then she's in that room that's creepy. A bunch of other things.
Well, there is some symbolism to the rabbit. It's fertility. Obviously,
you're not going to bring up the Matrix, are you?
No.
Okay.
But it's one of those things that it's an animal that is considered good luck. It means it's a symbol of Easter, fertility, the rebirth of the season. And now you keep seeing rabbits being killed. Now the question is it the death of rebirth, or is it potentially the death of 2 that we don't expect? And they're small rabbits, so is it going to be 2 of the kids? Could it be Lizzie and her sister? There's a whole lot of potential symbolism, and that's the great thing about it is that something that happens 4 or 5 episodes ago comes back. And there was a great point that when we were watching last week's, when did the fire all of a sudden start becoming the distractionary tactic for zombies?
Yeah, you asked that question.
And the bottle that he used was the one that Daryl took from Bob. So, they do a great job at these little subtle things. It's really worth going back the second time and watching and looking for all that little knick-knack stuff. Cynthia, any other topics that came up tonight that we haven't hit on for you?
No, I just wish it would pick up the pace a little bit more. I have to agree. I felt like this was just a filler episode.
I kind of looked at it and said, it's getting slow, but it wasn't like the other slow episodes. Like we've had slow episodes where, like The Governor, go back to that. Those dragged out the whole episode. This one we did bounce around a little bit. I really want to know more about the mystery people that were in the room, that in the house with Rick. And one of the things I had noticed was the Crip guy, the guy with the bandana. he couldn't have killed him because he didn't turn. You know, you don't kill somebody and then kind of go take a nap on the bed. So he just probably knocked him out. But that's obviously a bizarre group because they just don't seem to really care. They don't stay together. When Rick was waiting for Carl and Michonne to come back, we had the guy on the porch, and then all of a sudden now we can hear a walker, and then, hey, help.
Yeah, one of them turned.
It doesn't seem like that group is very well prepared for the walkers.
The group that came in the house?
Yes.
Yeah, no.
And there was another thing, one other kind of interaction that and we haven't really touched on this is Abraham obviously is a military guy. He's very strong. He gets what he's supposed to do. I truly doubt Eugene is a real scientist who knows why this went wrong. But when they're saying they want to go to Washington, D.C., and they're heading that way, and they can't get anybody on the radio, why are you going there? That means everybody's gone.
Probably. And how do they have a satellite radio that's working?
Satellite phone, yeah.
Yeah, where did they get the satellite phone from?
Well, you know, I'm sure there's got to be chargers somewhere. But, you know, it's one of those... that one I had a hard time with. But what I did like was that interaction between Abraham and Glenn. Like, you've got to do this, and you've got to do that, and this is how you survive.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Glenn is the ultimate survivor. He survived Atlanta. He survived everywhere else.
He's your group Swiss Army knife. You know? And that's one of the other things I did mention. I wrote it down. I didn't write that down. One of the things I wrote down is they're driving down the road and Tara's writing down all the streets and the turns on her hands. Where she got a Sharpie, I don't know. It goes right with a sat phone. Got a sat phone and a Sharpie.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm going to go home and put it right in my ZA kit. Don't worry about it. I don't have a sat phone, but I'll get the Sharpie in there. My point is she's writing everything down because she knows when Glenn wakes up, Glenn's going to start hoofing it right back the direction, and she could be like, I know which way we're going. I just don't know which hand to look at. Because Tara's useless.
All right, so...
She is useless.
But let's. You did bring up a point. Where are all of these things kind of coming out from? Let's go into the food.
What, Sharpie?
We're talking 2 years worth of the apocalypse, right?
Yeah, she wants soy milk.
How is that cereal even close to fresh?
What about the Cheese Whiz?
Yeah,
Cheese Whiz I'm going to buy.
No.
Cheese Whiz I'll buy because it's completely processed. So, you know what?
It still has an expiration date.
Somebody Google shelf life of cheese, a cheese spray.
No, that's going to last forever. That's like along with the Twinkies.
Like the Twinkies. Yeah. But, you know, there's some foods that they've been eating that I don't buy.
Cereal might last.
I do not buy Carl eating the 112
No. Clark Griswold's got that polymer thingamajiggy on the Frosted Flakes.
Some days we have no control of this show.
Yes, we do. People know what I'm talking about.
But that's just one of those things where they have to obviously make stuff stretch. But you know what? There really needs to be a better effort at going out and hunting for a deer. I mean,
why aren't they eating the rabbits?
Another great question. Why not eat the rabbit? Rabbit is actually good eating. It's got no fat on it, but it's a protein. But they're not making any effort to kind of hunt. When they had the pigs and they had the mini farm going, that was signs of trying to get some kind of agriculture back into your lives so you could have food. They're not even hunting deer. And there should be deer. There should be plenty of deer. Well, no one's hunted them in 2 years.
That was Daryl's job.
It was Daryl's job, but
he was just getting squirrels. Squirrels. And
you know what? I'm done with winter. Let's make it forget the squirrel, make it the groundhog.
Wait, I thought he brought a deer back, and that's when
he did kill a deer because
you
also brought
a lot of squirrels
the Doogie Howser kid.
Yeah.
Who died.
He had thanked him for.
Yep, and he said thanks for the deer, but there hasn't been a lot of that. They're not making a strong effort on that. Well, we are near the end. What we always do is we like to wrap it up with things that we learned. So according to our script, since you're filling in for Jason, we'll let you go first. Out of tonight's episode, what have you learned?
To lock the doors.
Good point. Keith?
I didn't have anything.
You learned nothing.
I learned nothing.
Did you even take notes tonight?
I did write. I wrote a lot of notes. I mean, we touched on that last week in the show about locking the doors and don't lock the doors. I mean, Carl couldn't break in. And Rick locked the door, but he didn't strap it. He didn't lock it again.
But he didn't close the bedroom door. The guy didn't lock the bathroom door.
I didn't lock the bathroom door.
Yeah, that's like forget the zombie apocalypse. If you walk in that bathroom, you close and lock that door.
You know what? I learned that nobody listens in the zombie apocalypse because
exactly.
I mean,
how much noise did he make?
It's deathly quiet, and Rick's under the bed going. he's heavy breathing under the bed.
Somebody said he needs a breathing right strip.
He's throwing the guy on the toilet against the wall, and his buddies don't hear that.
Hear him.
I'm like,
Maybe they lost their hearing.
I don't know.
Plus, he jumps out the window and made a ton of noise. And did we actually see him put on that coat, or did
Yeah.
he's out
He
the
threw it out the window first.
window.
Okay,
Definitely
He
threw
threw
it
it
out
out.
the
We're
window.
supposed to assume he put it on from when he threw it out the window.
For me, what I learned mostly was this background story to Michonne. I think Michonne is starting to heal a little bit and be able to talk more about her experience. And that was one of the things. That's one of the reasons why I really like her, is that she can be tough when she needs to be. She can be kind of motherly when she needs to be, and she can be kind of. She's very womanly. There's no doubt she is just probably, to me, one of the most well-rounded characters. I loved seeing her in that shirt. I just have a thing for a dress shirt on a woman, anyways. But I thought she looked great in that.
Yeah, and that's part of that whole interaction between her and Rick. It's like,
Right.
She's like,
It's
like she came down for breakfast with the 2-year-old cereal. Don't be harassing me about my shirt.
Yeah, that was really good.
And maybe the whole time that she's been alone, she didn't get to interact with anybody. Now that she's interacting with people, it's starting to, she's starting to show some of that emotion or come out of her shell.
Well, her emotion make her weak.
No, we haven't seen her kill anybody since her little woods melee.
I think that's always that double-edged sword, especially with this show. Is and whenever you start to show some of that mercy and that weakness, it does seem to cost you. And we saw it a lot with Philip. We saw it when on both sides with him.
Phil Connors.
When he found people who would show mercy, he would eventually figure out a way to kind of stick it to them. And then when he showed mercy, it kind of got stuck to him. And then reversal, he went absolutely bonkers and pretended to show mercy. And then anyone who got in his way was really dealt with. You're right. When you show mercy, or it allows that emotion to come in, you are in a weakened state. Will it cost her? I don't know. I think she's got that right balance. For me, anyways, I think that's one of the things I like about her, is that she's so quick to the sword. But that's another thing I wonder. Like when she walks into a room, she doesn't already have the sword out. Like,
She's ready. She's ready to.
She walked into that first house,
I would've
and
had
the
it out.
sword was.
I would've had it out, too.
I would have had that sword open. And what's wrong with having Carl click the door and her stick the blade in? I think they need to work on tactics a little bit, but. It is what it is. It's still a great show. I still absolutely love it.
Vinny DiGiacomo's Google Foo seems to be working. He posts 200-day shelf life.
That's it?
I don't know. Is he
For the
talking about?
cheese?
Is he talking about the cheese or the cereal?
It's got to be the cheese.
It's got to be the cheese.
Because I asked for the. Thank you.
cheese, yeah.
It's got to be the cheese.
It's got to be the cheese. So
Who
200-day
cut
shelf
the
life.
cheese? Michonne did.
That's what we learned tonight. 200-day shelf life.
200-day shelf life. There we go.
For,
and
Cheese
on
Whiz.
that note, I will.
Which means it was definitely not tasting well, because we're well into over
Whiz.
a year and a half. So that's beyond the
It's
shelf
closer
life.
to 3 years.
Closer to 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's start wrapping this up.
And Gene's got the answers 3 years later with his little sat phone.
To my right, I have Keith O'Brien. To my left, I have Cynthia Rogers. I'm Alex Mann. Once again, thank you for joining us here on the Walking Dead Support Group. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We enjoyed this. We go all week long with you guys. We're also on YouTube. Thanks for checking us out. Have a great night.
Good night.
Bye.